Mr. Mayor.
Okay. We're pretty close to 6:30. Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Township of Nipissing meeting on Tuesday, September 19th at 6:30 p.m. First of all, is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we'll move on to committee reports and we'll start with Councillor Young.
Thank you, Mayor Piper. We had our museum board meeting. We discussed Heritage Day, the financial results, the guest count, and it was a successful day. We set next year's Heritage Day date already, so it'll be on the 18th of August. Give everybody a chance to get ready and apply for some funding. And we discussed our Fall Fest planning, which we were going into that weekend. Lots of vendors. The turnout wasn't as good as we would have hoped, but the food was good, the baking was good. What more would you want? We did updates on our cataloging and museum operations. And we're reading the draft copy of our operating manual and hopefully pass it on our next. Hopefully it gets through this time. I don't think there'll be any changes. We discussed the Nipissing Russell Road 150th anniversary, and we're going to discuss it with other municipalities over the winter. And that's all I got.
Okay, any questions for Councillor Young? Okay.
It's also a 50-year museum.
And 50-year museum as well.
Okay. So, yes, Councillor Flood,
I was away, so I think you might have the report this week,
I
right?
might. But we'll wait till we get to me.
Okay.
Councillor Turkey.
Okay, we had a meeting in the Powassan District Union Public Library. So we welcomed to the board Valerie Morgan from the Resto LSB. So we finally have a representative from there again, which is good. We had a report on the farmers market fundraising. They do a reading for the kids. They do a kids corner and they read to them, and people have been donating, and we actually had 2 people who wanted to do that this year. It started out as, what do we do with the kids at the market? And somebody said, well, I'll read books to them. So they volunteered to do it for this year. And we had somebody come forward and said, I would like to read books at the farmers market for the kids. And we went, well, we already have somebody doing that. But next year, they've pretty much agreed that they would do it next year because it was taking somebody away from the market to do the kids thing. So we have a volunteer for that for next year. Also, we did the finalizing for the Lisa LaFlamme dinner, an evening with Lisa LaFlamme. They added an extra table. They sold out their tickets and added an extra table, and it sold out immediately as well. So we're hoping that that goes off without any glitches. What else do we have? We're doing a 10 to 14. During the summer, we've had 10 to 14 kids a day for reading at the library. So it's going pretty good. They're going to restart the Lego thing on Saturday, on first Saturday in October. They were doing a kids Lego thing, and the young fellow that was doing it, he broke an arm or something happened, and he couldn't do it anymore for the rest of the summer, so we had to suspend it. So and the musical instrument library has begun. We have 1 guitar, and it's been out for a month now. So we're reaching out to the public now to see if we can get portable keyboards and possibly some brass, maybe some more stringed instruments. And Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we plan to open from 10 to 6, and then 10 to 5 on Friday. And then there was a potential for on Thursday, we're talking about on Thursday, remaining open until 7 because some people can't get in. But we have to take an hour from another day so that we've been really good at staying on budget. And an interesting observation, just to finish this off, the levy from the 4 municipalities, somebody did it, one of the counselors, not me, but somebody did it. It was interesting anyway. The levy from the 4 municipalities pays the wages only at the library. The rest of the infrastructure and programs are paid by fundraising and grants. So reliant very, very heavily on fundraising and grants. And we're hoping this fundraiser, this is a one-off fundraiser. This is an opportunity that we couldn't pass up. And, shout out to Marty Schreider for getting this off the ground. And so it'll be a major fundraiser. We probably won't see a fundraiser like that again for quite some time. So anyway, hopefully it works out. That's all.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Councillor Butler.
Nothing this time.
Okay. Well, and apologies to Councillor Foot. I brought the wrong book, so you're not going to hear about the whatever meeting. The recreation meeting that was held a week on Tuesday. So we'll just defer that one till the next one because I'm not going to ask Will and Kristen to bail me out. So we'll bring that. In the meantime, today I did go to a Pines meeting and at 9:30 this morning, and we had an update on security cameras and the costs. And they are at a position where we're subsidized by DSAB. So at the end of the year, if there's any money left, it goes back to DSAB. So quickly, because everything has to be spent by October 15th, not the end of the calendar year. So we have a number of new items that we're going to, we found a few blind spots. So we're looking at clearing those up. They've replaced the block heater poles. There's always an issue, Pines, with people driving away, plugged into the block heaters. So we have new poles and there's a fence around the retaining wall. There's a new security system. We've improved the fire code for infractions and emergency lighting, and replaced the hallway carpet and washers and dryers. So now with the last bit of money we have, they're looking at runners on the steps because the lady that cleans says it's really difficult. A few more cameras, and that will probably be it for this year. Then we moved on to garden beds for next year, but we had to defer it. But we're gonna have 3 raised garden beds. And we passed the pet policy after, I think it was a bit like your upgrades. It took us 4 times, but we got it. And the other thing they're looking at came out of nowhere on me, but they're looking at Pines too. Because evidently there's lots of government money out there right now to build. So they're looking at, and that was on the books. It has to be 10, 12 years ago. So they're going to revisit that and look at Pines too. And it'll be like the one they're looking at is what they have, we've seen before in Bonfield and Astorville. But in our case, they have water, sewer, and everything gas close by, but there's some questions about the footprint. Otherwise, the manager's report, we tried to change our recycling pickup, but that was with Powassan, but we're not allowed to do that. And just what we put into reserve at the end of the year, if there's anything. And then there were questions, of course, on the employee payroll, but that was all cleared up. So the next meeting is October 17th, and we have a guest speaker from DSAB that's going to come and talk to us about expanding the Pines. And I think they said there were 100 people on the waiting list, and that's market. And the subsidized, I would assume it's way more than that. So they need whatever they can get, just like any other place. So that was the Pines meeting. Tomorrow is East Home, so we won't have to worry about that till next week. And then next meeting, when we have huge audience here, I will come up with the recreation minutes as well. So any questions otherwise?
They cut a bunch of trees behind the pines years ago for a building and didn't happen. Is
Yeah.
that where they're putting the second one?
Yeah, they cut them, but there was always a question between them and East Home about whose trees they were. So I'm sure they'll iron that out before, maybe get a survey, who knows? So we'll see. But it was an interesting meeting, and October 17th would be interesting because I want to see how they're going, because I sit on the East Home board too. So, and so does Councillor Britton. So it will be interesting. So I think that's it for committee reports. So we can move on with the minutes of the meeting. So a mover and a seconder. Okay. We'll go with Councillor Yam and Councillor Butler. Which number R 2023-175, moved by Councillor Yam, seconded by Councillor Butler, that the minutes of the council meeting held September 5th, 2023 be adopted as published. All in favor? Carried. Okay, and next,
So the next is strat plan. So
no, yes. So,
everybody has this. We posted it. So we posted the draft strat plan to the website. We've advertised it on Facebook. We've asked for all input from the public to come in writing so that we can incorporate it into notes provided at the next meeting, so that everything is open and transparent. And we've given that until October 3rd. So then we'll have our council meeting will be a public meeting on the strat plan for October 3rd.
Are we doing anything with the strat plan tonight?
If you have anything from the draft that you've been given, if there's anything you'd
No, I
like to
have nothing
change,
yet.
that was just an opening for council. If there was anything they wanted us to add at this point before we get public input.
Oh, okay.
and I know I've got it here. I didn't see anything to add. But it's out there in the public, and again, basically, we're advertising it. So if there's any comments or questions, hopefully they will bring them in. And I don't believe at the next meeting, we'll just accept that and we'll.
Yes, so the plan is to just review any public input that we have up to October 3rd. And then if there are no further changes required, then we'll move to the next meeting for adoption.
Right. So there could be strat plan people and of course the other open part that we're
We'll
gonna
talk
have.
about later, yeah.
Yeah. So next we go to number 5, and just what it is the hiring of an intern position, and we just need your support so that Chris and I can sign that, correct?
Yes, it's just the conditional funding offer for the $35,000 towards the intern.
So a mover and a seconder, Councillor Kirby and Councillor Foot. So it's number R 2023-176, moved by Councillor Kirky, seconded by Councillor Foot, that we authorize the mayor and municipal administrator to sign a conditional contribution agreement with the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation for financial assistance to hire an intern for a one-year term. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, the next one, and it's in your package. Copper sander, and Dan's here tonight if any questions. Again, and it's funny, we had the same thing at the Pines today. Everything we put out for 3 quotations, getting 1, you know, this one we had 2, but just, they just don't seem to be out there, but anyway. And you see the 2 different prices, are they comparable?
They're comparable, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
Was this part of the budget?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
This is an RFP that gone out earlier this year?
It wasn't an RFP, we just put up the pricing on the sander.
Okay. And it was already planned in that
Yeah.
budget to replace
It's in our
that.
capital budget.
yeah.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? If not, need a mover and a seconder. Councilor Butler, Councilor Foot. So it's number R 2023-177, moved by Councilor Butler, seconded by Councilor Foot, that we approve the purchase of a hopper sander insert from Bumper to Bumper, H.E. Brown, as provided in estimate 791959/D, quote, costing, including applicable taxes, $11,237.85, item approved in the 2023 municipal budget. All in favor? Carried. Okay. The newsletter. Yeah, got lots of paper. You know. There it is. So again, we've had it for a few days. There are things, and I'll thank Kristen. And some of it, one would think is just common sense. But every now and then we need a common sense reminder. So the community safety zone, road safety reminders, mattresses. Oh, there it is. That's everything we did in the recreation committee. Okay, don't need to do it next time. Thanks. And no, there are others. Cooking safety, fire. So if everybody has or hasn't looked over it, if you want to just take a quick look. And if there's anything we need to change, it is eye-catching and
We would like to start copying and mailing it out tomorrow so that we do capture fire prevention on time.
So I do apologize, that was me that moved it up. We're trying to get the smoke alarm program on September 28th, which is a province-wide, and fire prevention. So I asked if we could move it up 2 weeks.
So we're all set. We have our envelopes and our stamps. All of it is done. All we have to do is photocopy the newsletter and mail it out. So we'll start tomorrow.
John Paul's been licking his lips for a week. Yep, you're here for this one. So is there anything anybody wants to bring up? I think it looks great.
I think they're doing a nice job on it.
I mean, if people can't take the time to look at that, it's very disappointing because a lot of work goes into this and research and,
Kristen does a great job on it.
yeah. So hats off to you and it's really good. And, you know, of course, it's not going out with a tax bill, so,
Not this time, no.
you know, because usually it's, oh my God. They just look at the tax bill, but this is it. And this was part of the mandate from the last council, that we didn't communicate anything. So that's why we're trying to put that out. Of course, the new council, being far more technologically advanced, use things like Facebook. But this is
Apparently, it's
to the
not that
old-
advanced now.
Apparently not.
advanced compared to some of us. So if there's no questions, I'll ask for mover and seconder, Councillor Yam and Councillor Turkey. So it's number R 2023-178, moved by Councillor Yam, seconded by Councillor Turkey, that we approve the fall 2023 newsletter for circulation as presented. All in favor? Carried. Okay.
This is fire department structure.
Okay,
And we'll speak to this.
okay, so updated fire department, if you look at it. And right neon, we're looking at another captain and I am informed about it, but Will, if you want to share anything with the rest.
So we have to restructure the way we're operating with this mandatory certification coming out. We're gonna be pushing some of our firefighters into a support role staff. We need to focus a little more on public education, and we have to start concession planning for retirements coming up in the next 4 to 6 years. So by doing this, we'll have another officer that can assist at one of the stations, and we'll have another lieutenant brought up to start training for the absence of the next ones. So this will give us the 4 officers and 2 lieutenants to supervise our 29 staff.
And you are at full complement?
We'll have 1 opening. And we have 1 or 2 possibly retiring in January. So we'll be posting again for that.
Okay. Yeah, I know everything, training aspect of everything has just gone nuts, you know, like. But it is what it is, and so we'll see. So does anybody have any questions for Will? And this won't be on the 2023. This will kick in on the 2024 budget. Okay, so no questions and a mover and a seconder. Councillor Butler and Councillor Foot. So it's number R 2023-179, moved by Councillor Butler, seconded by Councillor Foot, that we adopt an updated Appendix B to the Fire Department establishing and regulating bylaw number 2023-15, Township of Nipissing Fire Department, organizational chart providing for an additional captain position within the department. All in favor? Carried. Okay, the next, give to Chris, and that's the 2023 budget update.
So I provided a staff report just outlining any of the items that were still outstanding, and everyone got a copy of the budget figures. There's nothing really concerning in the budget where we are. We still have 2 million to use for the last quarter, so we're in good shape. We're also expecting $51,000 in interest from the GIC short-term that I placed, comes due in October, so that hadn't been in the budget. That was just a bonus.
In brackets, is
That's a credit.
that's a credit? All of these in brackets are credit?
That's revenue at the top, so yes,
Okay, so that's a credit. At the bottom, general expenses.
they're all expenses. So
Those are-
revenue at the top and expenses at the bottom.
So 32 represents a deficit or a credit.
The percentages are, they're hard to explain because we don't have the full breakdown of the
Oh,
department.
yeah, okay.
So, but which one were you?
Well, the surplus, it
The
says,
surplus deficit is actually from the last year's budget, from what the financial statement said from last year. So we had to put that in this budget because we have to balance to 0.
Oh, I see. Okay, and the 32 represents,
The difference between the years.
It's lower.
oh, okay, the difference between the,
22
Between
and
the-
23
right,
actuals.
between the, yeah, okay, I got it.
The one thing from the front page that I noticed, the consent application fees are lower than anticipated. We'll make that up with the interest, I hope, from the bank.
We don't have the expenses in planning either that would match that revenue, so
Right.
it's really, it's a service-driven fee, so.
The
But
other-
we allow for 10 consent applications and we've only received one this year.
So that's, one of the parts of the discussion where people weren't, being able to get consents. And because we only had 10, but there we are,
Had one.
we've had one.
We very rarely, we haven't met the 10 maximum.
Oh, didn't we meet the 10 last year?
Well, we met the 10, but we didn't exceed the 10. There was no,
Oh, I see,
there
okay.
was no rollover, so we're
Yeah.
still waiting.
So, good shape, not an issue.
That's something that we would watch year over year. So if we were consistently meeting the 10, then we would approach the Ministry of Municipal Affairs to up that, because
Mhm.
obviously it's not meeting
Yeah.
our need, but we're well within where we need to be.
And it was an unusual with COVID. Now things have just gone. the
Yeah.
opposite.
Well, exactly, and the building revenue shows that as
Yeah.
well, because our building permits
Yeah.
are not where we expected, but I spoke to our building official today, and we still have a couple of house permits that are coming out, so
Yeah.
we may meet our quarter. We do have a reserve in the building department from the surplus, from the permits that were sold last year, because it was such a banner year, so we have that to call on if we need it.
But the exodus from the city is pretty much over now.
We believe so. We believe so. So, any other questions with the budget? Oh. Where is that?
Yeah, final cost for the land tribunal for the legal and the planning are in. So it costs $24,967.66. That's with our tax rebate. So we defend that position.
To defend the trailer bylaw.
Mhm.
And now we'll educate and move on.
That's right.
When people start throwing things around, like go to the land tribunal and stuff like that, this was just one tiny case, and, that's 24,000 that we're paying. So we always have to be wary when we go into things like that, because this is all of the taxpayers' money and this, of course, the trailer, bylaw, it's across the whole Nipissing Township, from south, east, west, everybody comes into that. So I think at the time, and I think you were on council at that time when we looked at proceeding with that, and that's what we looked at, and we'd gone over that for years before that. So,
Yeah.
You always hope it would go, well, we always hope that nobody would appeal it, but
My first council function was the open house.
right. How much fun was that? So anyway, I just wanted to draw your attention to it, because anything, as soon as you say legal or tribunal, it's pretty costly. So if there's no other questions, we'll move on to correspondence. And yeah, I think I got it. Okay. Okay, now if you remember, in the spring, even the spring before that, first one, request for phenomenal support for the Northern School of Medicine. And in March 15th, 2022, we sent a letter and you know, we supported it. And again, it was the municipality of Shania that we supported the expansion of Northern Ontario School of Medicine to address the urgent need for physicians in Northern Ontario. This is another one from FNOM, which says the same, but it's a little more specific in base funding and stuff like that. So if you want as a council, we can support this again. And this breaks it down to base funding and, you know, more support for the Northern Ontario School of Medicine. So as a council, how do you feel about that?
I feel we should sign it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Anything that we can do to continue with that, because I've had a couple of dealings with some of the doctors that come out of there. They're qualified, very qualified.
yeah, indeed, and if we can support it, if it's gonna get us more doctors in our area, I'm sure it's a good idea.
Well, there was a percentage of doctors that stay in the area. I believe it was in here. Or was it further on in? Or was it something I was, 50, with over 50% of graduates choosing family medicine and over 90 of combined MD and postgraduate learners staying in Northern Ontario.
Yeah.
That's huge. You know, and everybody you talk, everybody has friends that can't find a doctor.
Yeah.
Everybody, so.
Definitely. So we'll put that on the next one to support it.
Yeah.
And we'll have a resolution for that. The next one, from Grimsby, the living wage, and this is for Niagara. I think we look at this perhaps as an information item because their living wage, and our living wage is a way. If we had their living wage, we'd be living much better than in some cases. So I'm not sure that we are qualified in that unless somebody believes we should support this. We'll keep it at an info item. The expert one, of course, this was mentioned at the Recreation Committee meeting. The Command Community Center is having a fundraising fall dance on September 23rd. And they did mention the group that was going to play, and Rhonda Greeny would be there to follow up. So there, I remember that. So this is just for their special occasion permit. And all of those, we have to they have to advertise them. The minutes of the Nipissing Township Board of Management for the museum. And we'd already received that, I believe. So we move on. The next one, resolution for municipality of Wawa. This is over Vital Healthcare Services. This has gone and is going to FONUM. And FONUM has said that they will make a recommendation. I know I looked over it, and in my case, I'm definitely not qualified to suggest what we need for frequency of nerve block injections. So FONUM will get back to us, and hopefully they have somebody. So we'll leave that. We'll support the School of Medicine, and hopefully a doctor there will explain that to us at a later date. And then the policy documents are there from FONUM, and they are support for detox beds, and that came from the EMO. So instead of putting people in jail, we should have more detox beds. Everybody, now they're petitioning the government for that, and I'm sure everybody agrees. The other one, provincial government funding for health units. And they're asking the government to go back to 75% as in 2018 or to 100%, which they would like from the provincial government. Good luck with that. But they're asking, what I would like to ask is for the increase,
We went down.
we went down
Yeah, no,
1.02%.
Yeah.
So evidently, we're in good shape health-wise. But that will be a question that we can ask our
It's
health
per
unit.
capita and it was, I checked the budget documents and that was correct.
Okay. Next, school boards should operate their own elections. People have said that for years and years and years, and we'll see how it comes or compensate for running the elections. Because it costs an awful lot of money when one person just says, oh, I think I'll do this, and now we're gonna have an election. They have no intention, don't want to do it, but just don't want people to get in without an election. So, I mean, it's their right, everything like that, but it cost money. And if they want to do that, then school board should pay.
We have had a situation where it was an acclaimed council and there was one school board position to be elected. And Powassan runs it for our area, but we still had to have a poll. So we had to run an election for the school board.
there's a cost associated to the township for every time that happens.
That's right.
Yeah, and they have some for some of them down here, and, you know, just like Perry Township, which would be close, it costs $3,000 just for that, for them to run the, you know, election for the board. So I think it's a really good point that, you know, if you want to do this, then run your own elections. Or,
Powassan has to have all the ballots printed for everyone. And then they have to make sure we get the ballots and we get everything, and they don't get compensated for that. The compensation that we get is we get to use the schools for voting places, is usually how it works out. But if we don't have to have an election for municipal purposes, we still have to run it for the school board.
Mhm.
so,
More than offsets that cost.
definitely. So I think that's something that they need to look at, and they are looking at, and we'll just see what the provincial government or school boards come up with. So we will put that resolution on the October 3rd meeting, and otherwise, can we accept the correspondence as presented? Okay, we'll go with Councillor Clare and Councillor Turkey. So it's number R 2023-180, moved by Councillor Butler, seconded by Councillor Turkey, that we accept the correspondence as presented. All in favor? Carried. Okay, now we'll go to accounts pay. And if you would look over that, and I know you've had that, so if you have any questions, please ask Chris. It's big because we have public school English, separate school, public school French, separate school. So,
Policing, East Home, ambulance levy, those are all big.
I didn't want
Library,
you to say East Home, but anyway.
sorry.
Yeah, library in East Home, and the library does, they're always great at thanking us for, because we pay promptly.
And the ambulance, that's the second half. We pay the first half in March, and we pay the second half in September. Those are tax due dates.
Okay, are there any questions? If not, I need a mover in the seconder. So again. Councilor Foot. It's number R 2023-181, moved by Councillor Yam, seconded by Councillor Foot. That the statement of accounts dated September 5th, 13th, 14th, and 15th, 2023, totaling $414,300.10 be approved. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Now to move.
Can I just say one thing?
Yep.
So at the last council meeting, Councillor Yam, you asked about the resealing of section 1 of Birch Grove that
Yeah.
we did. So there was some additional construction work to be monitored on some culverts, so we left it. And
Okay,
when we reseal the third piece, we're
Yeah.
gonna reseal the first piece as well.
okay, yep,
No bad questions.
no,
No, just wanted to make sure we had the right answers, that's all.
Okay, so
Now we're into the closed
we're gonna
session.
move into closed
Yeah.
session.
And we will be asking Chief Bateman and John Paul Negrinati to remain.
Okay. And everyone else gets free pass.
We do.
Okay. Good night, everyone. Good night.
Night.
So I need a mover and seconder to move into close. I'm looking that way, so. Councilor Turkey and Councilor. So it's number R 2023-182, moved by Councilor Turkey, seconded by Councilor Butler. That this part of our meeting will be closed to the public as authorized by section 2392A and K of the Municipal Act 2001 C25 for consideration of the following subject matter. A, the security of the property of the municipality, and K, position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board and council to receive a legal opinion on an ongoing municipal property matter and establish direction of next steps. Time is 7:13. All in favor? Carried.